A daughter cries to her father on a phone call. A daughter-in-law jumps off the roof. A dead body reaches the hospital, and a family grieved for the baby girl. Everyone called it a suicide until the autopsy reports opened their cards and revealed something far more horrifying. What I'm walking you through is one of the many gruesome cases of dowry deaths India has ever seen. It is the Deepika Nagar case of dowry and murder. But before we step into the night Deepika was robbed of her life, let me introduce you to her. In an interview after Deepika's death, her father remembered her not as a victim, but as a bright and ambitious daughter his family was proud of. Reports describe her as someone deeply attached to her family, or in their exact words, a girl with strong family roots. Born in 2001 in Kudi-Kheda of Greater Noida, Deepika was an MA B.Ed graduate working as an educator. Her father, Sanjay Nagar, was a government employee at the Delhi Jal Board. But how did a girl who once carried her family's dream become another name in India's endless list of dowry victims? Well, the first nail in the coffin was hammered on 11 December 2024 when Deepika was married off, just 17 months before her death. The guy she was trusting to be by her side all her life was Hrithik Tanwar, a real estate broker and an LLB student who lived with his family in Jalpura of Greater Noida. The Tanwars were a very well-known family in the community, as they owned 3 primary schools in that area. Hrithik was not always a part of Deepika's life. He had just entered her life when both families planned to get them married in an arranged marriage setup. On December 11, 2024, Deepika stood dressed as a bride, surrounded by lights, music, relatives, and promises of happy future. It was a lavish, big, fat Indian wedding, one her father, Sanjay Nagar, likely stretched beyond his financial limits for. According to reports by NDTV, her father spent almost 1 crore rupees on the wedding, which is approximately 1,08,000 US dollars. The reports also suggest that he spent one part of that money on the gold that Deepika was wearing on the day of her wedding, and on the rings and gold chains that were gifted to Tanwars, which came to a total of 50 lakh rupees. The remaining 50 lakhs was spent on buying a Mahindra Scorpio car to gift Deepika's in-laws that cost around 25 lakhs in India, and the wedding bills were paid with the rest 25 lakhs. That's a lot, and a long and expensive list of so-called gifts to the Tanwar family. And although there are no confirmed reports proving the Tanwars demanded each of them, the dowry allegations that surfaced later cast those wedding expenses in a very different light. What was alleged by Deepika's father, however, was an even longer list of demands reportedly made by the Tanwar family. According to several reports, the family demanded 50 lakh in cash along with a Toyota Fortuner, a luxury SUV worth several lakhs in India, jewelry, and gifts during festivals. If true, these demands would have placed an enormous financial burden on Deepika's family, adding to the expenses they had already reportedly handled during the wedding. According to Deepika's family, the marriage had started becoming abusive and taking a toll on Deepika, and she had also started complaining about her conditions in July of 2025. One report also points out that Deepika bought an anklet worth 30,000 rupees few days before her death for her mother-in-law as to fulfill her expectations of getting a gift on festivals from her family. From what I've told you so far, it's safe to say that her marriage was miserable from day one. Deepika's dream of a happy family had collapsed on repeated complaints of harassment and abuse by the in-laws. All she got from her family was the advice to stay and adjust. But on 17th May 2026, things went out of hand. She was being harassed and assaulted by her in-laws yet again, and Deepika could not adjust anymore. She called her father that afternoon crying. Worried for his daughter, Sanjay Nagar came to the Tanwar family's residence at 7 p.m. that same day. According to reports, he came with the intentions to resolve the tension between the family and his daughter. He left after some time, leaving his daughter alone with the Tanwar family. Little did he know that his biggest horrors will come to life hours after he left the Tanwar family. At 12:30 a.m. on the 18th of May 2026, Sanjay Nagar gets a call from Deepika's in-laws, in which he is informed that his daughter jumped off the third floor or fell off the third floor of the Tanwar family's house and has been rushed to the Sharda hospital in Greater Noida. By the time Deepika's family reached the hospital, she was declared dead. After Deepika's death, the Tanwar family maintained that she had either jumped from the third floor or accidentally fallen from it. But for Deepika's family, this explanation did not sit right. According to reports, the moment they saw Deepika's body at the hospital, they suspected something far more horrifying had happened inside the Tanwar household that night. Soon, the police was informed and a case was registered against Hrithik Tanwar and several members of his family under sections related to dowry death, harassment, and cruelty. Deepika's family accused the Tanwars of mentally and physically torturing her for months over dowry demands. They claimed that what happened on the night of 17th May was not an accident, but the final outcome of continuous abuse she had been facing after her marriage. But what truly shook people following this case was the autopsy findings. What many initially thought was a simple suicide case slowly began turning into something much darker. According to reports, the autopsy revealed multiple horrifying internal and external injuries on her body. Deepika had suffered severe head trauma, with a blood clot found in the middle and left side of her brain. Her spleen, liver, and right kidney were reportedly ruptured, pointing towards massive physical trauma and internal bleeding. Reports also mention that all chambers of her heart were found empty, something often associated with extreme blood loss. The injuries visible outside her body were equally disturbing. There was massive swelling on the right side of her face, deep wounds on her knee, and large bruises across her thighs, arms, and forearms. Bleeding was reportedly seen from her mouth, nose, and ear. Some reports further stated that certain injuries were appeared to be ante-mortem, meaning they may have been inflicted before death. These findings raised serious questions about whether a simple fall from a terrace alone could explain the condition Deepika's body was found in. The combination of head trauma, ruptured organs, and widespread bruises raised disturbing questions about what may have happened inside the house before Deepika died. As the reports surfaced online, outrage spread rapidly across social media. Many people began comparing the case to the countless dowry deaths India has witnessed over decades. Cases where young brides entered marriage with dreams of building families, only to become victims of greed, pressure, and violence behind closed doors. As pressure mounted on the police, arrests soon followed. Hrithik Tanwar and his father Manoj Tanwar, with some members of his family, were taken into custody under charges related to dowry death, harassment, and cruelty. However, reports also suggested that not every accused family member was immediately found by the police, and investigations continued as public outrage kept growing online. Whether Deepika's death was a result of prolonged abuse, dowry, pressure, or something even more horrifying is for the court to decide. But what remains undeniable is that a 25-year-old woman who once stepped into marriage with dreams of a peaceful future is now remembered through post-mortem reports, FIRs, and courtroom hearings. As we come to the end of this episode, I can't help but question how we as a society have normalized the bride's family carrying almost the entire burden of the wedding. When did expensive gifts during festivals become obligation instead of gestures of love? I mean, On one hand, you mentally and physically torture someone's daughter, and on the other hand, you expect gifts and respect from that family. Statements like, अगर इतनी ही गर्मी लगती है तो मायके से एसी लाना चाहिए था ना, have become so normal in Indian households that many people don't even recognize them as abuses anymore. As a girl, I think it's important to leave the house the first time you experience violence and harassment. I know it's not easy to take such an extreme step, but do we really have a choice? I think I would rather be okay hearing people gossip about me and assassinate my career than let my husband beat the hell out of me until I give up and die. And to every parent listening to this, I just want to say one thing. A divorced daughter is far better than a dead one. You might have heard this many times, but this is just not a line. This is something you should keep in your mind when you marry off your daughter. With that, we come to the end of this episode. Stay sane and alive until we meet the next time. This is the Deathlore.